Princess Nira of Vera stood in the tallest tower of the royal palace. The twin suns were sinking behind the violet dunes, casting long shadows over the city. Her golden hair shimmered in the light, and her green eyes reflected worry. The palace was quiet, but her heart was loud. She could hear it beating like a drum, each thump reminding her of the meeting she would have with her father. Today, he would decide her future, and she feared it would not be the future she wanted. King Alran, Nira's father, was known throughout the galaxy for his wisdom and strict rule. He had kept Vera safe for decades, and his word was law. But now, his decision concerned Nira directly. The royal hall had been prepared for the announcement, and the palace advisors whispered that the matter was urgent. Nira's stomach twisted as she thought of what was to come. She had always dreamed of exploring distant planets, meeting new civilizations, and studying ancient knowledge. But duty and tradition weighed heavily on her, as they had on every Veran royal before her. A soft knock came at the tower door. "Princess Nira, your father requests your presence in the throne room," said a gentle voice. It was Levin, her personal attendant, who had grown up with her since childhood. Nira nodded silently. She drew a deep breath, smoothing her dress of shimmering silver fabric, and walked down the winding staircase. The palace walls were lined with glowing murals depicting Vera's history. She tried to focus on the beauty of the artwork, but her mind kept returning to the possibility of what her father would demand. When she entered the throne room, the doors closed behind her with a low hum. King Alran sat on his golden throne, his expression calm but serious. The royal council members were gathered, their faces solemn. Nira bowed deeply, a gesture of respect that had been taught to her since childhood. Her father gestured for her to rise. "Nira," King Alran began, his voice steady, "it is time for you to fulfill your duty to Vera. A union has been arranged to strengthen our alliances and secure peace for our planet." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "You are to marry Kale, a human commander from Earth." The words struck Nira like a lightning bolt. She froze, her mind unable to process them immediately. "A human from Earth," her father said, as though it were simple and natural. She had heard of humans before, explorers who traveled through galaxies, brave and ambitious. But she had never met one, and the idea of marrying someone she did not know filled her with fear. Her hands trembled slightly, and she lowered her gaze. "Father," she whispered, her voice shaking, "I cannot. I do not know him. How can I marry someone I have never met?" King Alran's eyes softened briefly, but he remained firm. "Nira, the decision has been made for the greater good of our planet. Kale is strong, wise, and skilled. He will be a valuable ally to Vera. You must learn to accept this choice, even if your heart hesitates." Nira's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, to cry, to flee, but she knew it would be futile. Her father's will was law, and the people of Vera looked to her as the future of their planet. She felt trapped, caught between duty and desire. Slowly, she lowered herself to the floor, tears falling silently onto her hands. Her father watched her, his expression unreadable, as the advisors looked away respectfully. Levin stepped closer, placing a comforting hand on Nira's shoulder. "Princess," Levin said softly, "Kale is coming soon. Perhaps meeting him will help you see him differently." Nira shook her head, unable to meet Levin's eyes. "It is not about seeing him differently," she said quietly. "It is about the choice that is being taken from me. I cannot marry someone simply because it is convenient for politics. I am not a tool for alliances. I am a person." I have a right to choose who I will share my life with. King Alrund's voice echoed in the hall, calm but commanding. Nira, I understand your feelings, but as the Princess of Vera, your personal desires must sometimes yield to the needs of our people. Kale's arrival is near, and you must prepare yourself. You will meet him as the future of Vera, not as a frightened girl who wishes to escape responsibility. The words pierced Nira's heart. She had always respected her father and admired his leadership, but this demand felt like a chain around her spirit. She wanted to explore the stars freely, to make her own decisions, and to live without fear of being forced into something she did not want. Yet, she also understood the truth in her father's words. Vera depended on alliances, and sometimes personal happiness had to wait for the greater good. As she walked back to her chambers, Nira gazed at the stars visible through the tall windows. She imagined Earth, a distant blue and green planet, and the human Kale who would soon arrive. She did not know if he would be kind or harsh, brave or selfish. The uncertainty was unbearable. She felt both curiosity and fear, a mix that made her chest ache. Levin followed her, silent but supportive. Princess, he said after a while, you are stronger than you believe. No matter what happens, you will find a way to protect yourself and your people. Kale may not be what you expect. Keep your mind open. Nira nodded faintly, appreciating Levin's words, but they did little to calm her anxious thoughts. She paced her room, trying to imagine meeting Kale. Would he respect her? Would he understand the weight of being a princess of Vera? Could a human, from a world so different from hers, truly comprehend her life, her people, her responsibilities? As night fell, Nira sat by the window, the twin moons rising over the horizon. The wind carried the faint scent of the violet deserts, a reminder of the home she loved and the people she had sworn to protect. She wiped her tears and whispered to herself, I will not be forced. I will find a way to be heard. I must protect Vera, and I must protect myself. The stars twinkled above, and in their distant light, Nira found a small spark of hope. Perhaps the human Kale was not just a stranger. Perhaps he could be an ally, or perhaps he would be a challenge she needed to face. She did not know the future, but she knew she would not surrender her will easily. Her heart was heavy, but her spirit was unbroken. The night passed slowly, and as the first rays of the twin suns lit the palace towers, Nira felt a mixture of fear, determination, and curiosity. Today, Kale would arrive. Today, her life would change forever. And Princess Nira, the heiress of Vera, was ready to face it, even if her heart wept for the choice she had not made. The silver starship glided smoothly over the violet deserts of Vera, its engines humming softly as it approached the royal palace. Inside, Commander Kale adjusted his seat and glanced through the transparent canopy at the strange and beautiful world beneath him. Mountains shimmered with a faint purple hue, and rivers of liquid crystal cut through the landscape like threads of light. Kale's sharp mind absorbed every detail, cataloging the terrain and imagining how he might communicate with the people of this alien planet. He had been trained for missions like this. Humans had explored countless worlds, but Vera was unlike any place he had seen. Its skies were a blend of 2 suns and 2 moons, creating shifting colors across the deserts and mountains. The air shimmered with a faint energy that his sensors identified as harmless but fascinating. Kale's mission was simple in theory: make a political connection with the ruling family and strengthen the alliance between Earth and Vera. But he had also been warned to expect challenges. Princess Nira, the heiress of Vera, was known to be strong-willed and independent, traits that Kale respected and anticipated. As the ship touched down in the royal landing grounds, a crowd of Vayrans gathered. Their tall, graceful forms glowed softly under the twin suns. Their eyes, bright and reflective, watched Kale with curiosity and caution. The palace guards, clad in luminous armor, formed a corridor for him to pass through. Kale stepped out of the starship, his boots making soft impressions in the crystalline sand. He straightened his posture, showing respect but also confidence. "Commander Kale," a voice called in a melodic tone. It belonged to Levin, Princess Nira's attendant, who had come to escort him to the palace. "Welcome to Veyra. The princess awaits your introduction." Kale inclined his head politely. "Thank you. It is an honor to be here. I hope I can meet the princess in a way that respects her and her people." Levin's eyes softened. "She may be wary. You must understand her position. Veyra has always valued strength, intelligence, and wisdom. But Nira has also been taught to protect her independence. Approach her with patience, and she may listen." Kale nodded, absorbing every word. He had learned long ago that diplomacy often required careful observation and restraint. The palace gates opened, revealing the grand garden where Princess Nira stood. The garden was filled with exotic plants that glowed faintly, their colors shifting with the sunlight. Water flowed in crystal streams, and delicate bridges arched over small lakes. Nira's green eyes focused on the human as he approached. She could feel the weight of her father's expectations pressing down on her, and she was determined to maintain her composure. Kale stepped into the garden, his gaze respectful and steady. He bowed slightly, acknowledging the princess and the beauty of her world. "Princess Nira," he said calmly, "I am honored to meet you. I hope we can find understanding between our people." Nira's lips pressed together. She nodded lightly, not offering a smile. Her heart beat quickly, a mixture of fear, anger, and curiosity swirling within her. She had expected a cold, rigid human, perhaps even ruthless, but Kale's presence was calm and measured. His eyes held a quiet intelligence, and his posture reflected discipline. Still, she could not forget her father's decree. She did not want to marry him, no matter how respectable he seemed. "I am Princess Nira," she said, her voice steady despite the emotions inside her. "You have come far to reach Veyra. I hope your journey has been safe." Kale nodded. "Yes, Princess. The journey was long, but my ship is equipped for the conditions of this planet. I am ready to serve in any way that benefits Veyra." Nira's eyes narrowed slightly. "We will see," she said softly. "Service is not the same as understanding. To rule and protect a people requires more than skill and strength. It requires insight, empathy, and respect for the lives you affect." Kale's brow lifted slightly, impressed by her words. He had encountered many leaders and diplomats, but few spoke with such clarity and conviction. "I understand, Princess," he said. "I am here to learn, not to impose. I hope my actions will demonstrate my respect for you and your people." For a moment, the air was filled with quiet tension. Both understood that their meeting was more than formalities. It was the first step in a delicate balance between duty and personal choice. Nira studied Kale carefully, noting his careful gestures and measured words. He did not try to charm her or boast of his achievements. Instead, he observed, listened, and spoke with honesty. Levin watched silently from the side, sensing the growing curiosity in Nira. "Princess," Levin whispered, "he is not what you expected. Perhaps seeing his actions will help you decide where your heart and duty align." Nira's lips twitched slightly, but she said nothing. She turned her attention to the garden around them, letting her mind wander to the distant deserts, the crystal streams, and the skies that changed colors with the suns. She imagined Earth, the blue and green planet Kale came from, and the worlds he might have seen. She wondered if humans truly understood the weight of being royalty, of carrying the hopes and fears of an entire people. Kale noticed her gaze drifting to the horizon. "The land is beautiful," he said quietly. "I have seen many worlds, but Vera is unlike any other. Your people have built something extraordinary here." Nira's heart softened slightly. He spoke not with arrogance, but with genuine appreciation. Still, she remained cautious. She could not allow herself to trust him easily. The palace bell chimed, signaling the arrival of her father. King Alran stepped into the garden, his presence commanding attention. He looked at Kale with approval and then turned to his daughter. "Nira, this is the human commander I have chosen for our alliance. You will learn from him, and together you will strengthen the bond between our worlds." Nira's eyes met Kale's. There was a silent understanding. She would not surrender easily. She would observe, test, and challenge him. And Kale, she realized, would have to prove himself not just to her father, but to her as well. Kale bowed again, acknowledging the king. "I am ready, your majesty. I will serve Vera with honor and respect." King Alran nodded, satisfied for the moment. "Very well. Princess, Kale will remain at the palace while you both prepare for the formal ceremony. Use this time wisely. Understand one another, for your unity will shape the future of our people." As the king left, Nira turned to Kale, her eyes sharp. "We will see," she said. "Actions speak louder than words, Commander. Do not expect my respect or trust without reason." Kale smiled faintly, accepting the challenge. "I would not expect anything less, Princess." As the twin suns dipped further, casting the palace in shades of orange and violet, Nira felt the first spark of curiosity mingle with her resistance. The human had arrived, and with him came a future she had not chosen, a future filled with uncertainty, challenge, and perhaps, the possibility of trust. For now, the story of Vera and Earth had begun. The first meeting had passed, but the journey of understanding, courage, and alliance was only starting. And Princess Nira, though still wary, could not ignore the sense that her life was about to change in ways she could not yet imagine. The morning on Vera was calm, yet the palace hummed with tension. Princess Nira walked through the glowing gardens, her mind filled with thoughts of Kale. The human had arrived the previous evening, and though his manners were respectful, Nira felt a storm of emotions inside her. Curiosity battled with caution, and admiration struggled with resistance. She could not ignore the reality that he would be part of her life in ways she had not chosen. Kale was already in the training courtyard when she arrived. The Veran courtyard was vast, lined with crystalline columns that reflected the twin suns. Strange plants swayed gently in the wind, and the soft hum of energy from the palace filled the air. Kale was examining a map projected from a floating device, calculating terrain and defense positions with careful precision. His focus was intense, and Nira found herself momentarily impressed. "You are very methodical," Nira said, her voice calm but firm. She stepped closer, her green eyes watching him carefully. "Do you always study every detail before acting?" Kale looked up, his expression neutral but thoughtful. "I believe preparation is essential, Princess. One cannot lead or protect without understanding the challenges ahead. Knowledge is the foundation of action." Nira crossed her arms, a gesture of defiance. Words are easy. Action is harder. You may understand strategy, but you cannot know the weight of ruling a people you have never seen before. Kale's lips curved slightly, not in amusement but in quiet acknowledgement. I do not claim to understand fully. That is why I am here to learn, to observe, and to work with those who have that experience. Including you, Princess. Her eyes narrowed. Do not assume I will cooperate willingly. I have responsibilities to my people, and I will not compromise their safety for convenience or pride. Kale inclined his head, accepting her challenge. I would not ask you to. I hope to earn your trust through my actions, not words. Nira's expression softened for a brief moment. He spoke honestly, without arrogance or flattery. Yet, she remained wary. Very well, she said. We will see if your actions match your words. Follow me. She led him to a section of the palace grounds known as the labyrinth. It was an intricate maze of tall walls covered in glowing vines and alien flowers. The labyrinth was used to train palace guards and to test one's mind and agility. Nira turned to Kale, her eyes gleaming with challenge. You will navigate this labyrinth alone. If you succeed, I may consider that you have some understanding of our world. Fail, and you will see that human confidence alone is not enough. Kale studied the maze, then looked at Nira. I accept, he said calmly. Lead the way to the entrance. The challenge began as Nira handed him a small device that projected the map of the labyrinth. Kale's brow furrowed as he memorized the paths and considered the traps hidden among the glowing plants. Nira watched him carefully, noting his strategy and patience. He moved swiftly but cautiously, avoiding traps and dead ends with careful observation. Nira was impressed by his focus, yet she refused to show it. Hours passed as Kale navigated the labyrinth. Nira followed from a distance, observing his movements. He was not only strong but intelligent, anticipating obstacles and finding solutions quickly. Yet, she reminded herself that one test did not define a person. The labyrinth measured skill, not character, and she was determined to learn more about him before considering any trust. Finally, Kale reached the center of the maze. He paused, breathing steadily, and activated a beacon signaling his success. Nira approached, her arms crossed, hiding the small smile that threatened to appear. You have completed the labyrinth, she said, her voice firm. I did not expect failure, but success does not mean I am convinced. Kale bowed slightly, acknowledging her words. I understand, Princess. I did not seek your approval with this test. I only wished to demonstrate that I am willing to learn and adapt. Nira studied him, her eyes searching for signs of arrogance or deceit. She found none. Instead, she saw determination and patience, qualities that were rare even among Veyran leaders. Yet, she remained guarded. You are clever, human. But cleverness alone cannot protect a planet or its people. You must understand duty, loyalty, and the unseen challenges that come with leadership. Kale nodded. I hope to learn from you. If I can assist, I will. If I cannot, I will step back. The princess's eyes softened slightly again. There was a quiet respect forming between them, though neither would admit it aloud. They were still opponents in many ways, she, a guardian of her people and traditions, he, an outsider with knowledge of distant worlds and strategy. The balance between them was delicate, and both understood that trust would take time. Suddenly, the alarm system of the palace rang softly. Nira's ears perked up, and she motioned for Kale to follow her. Guards rushed past them, moving with practiced precision. Nira's mind raced. This was a test, not just of skill, but of character. Kale's reaction would reveal more about him than any maze or challenge could. Kale did not hesitate. He followed her swiftly, his movements precise and careful. When they reached the source of the disturbance, a minor security breach was discovered at one of the outer gates. Nira examined the situation, her heart steady. She expected Kale to remain cautious, but instead, he analyzed the surroundings, suggested secure positions, and helped the guards organize efficiently. The princess watched closely, her earlier doubts battling with growing respect. Kale was not just a human with confidence, he was capable, resourceful, and careful. His actions minimized risk and maintained order, demonstrating not only intelligence but an understanding of responsibility. When the breach was contained, Nira turned to him. "You handled that well," she said quietly. "Most humans would panic or act recklessly. You did not." Kale bowed slightly, as if the praise was unexpected. "I am trained to act under pressure, princess. But I have learned much from observing others. Leadership is not about acting alone, but understanding those you serve and protect." Nira considered his words. Her initial resistance was still strong, but a seed of curiosity had been planted. Perhaps this human could be more than an outsider. Perhaps he could understand aspects of Vera that few had the patience to learn. Yet, she would remain cautious. Trust was not given lightly in her world, and she would ensure that every action proved his worth. As the twin suns began to set, casting violet and gold across the courtyard, Nira walked beside Kale. They were not friends, nor allies yet, but a cautious understanding had begun to form. The labyrinth had tested skill, the security breach had tested courage and judgment, and both had passed in their own ways. Nira's heart was still guarded, but she could not deny that Kale had impressed her. Perhaps, she thought quietly, there was hope for this alliance. Perhaps understanding and respect could grow, even between two worlds so different. The palace bells chimed softly, signaling the end of the day. Nira and Kale paused, each reflecting on the events that had unfolded. They were not yet united, nor did they fully trust one another, but the first steps toward understanding had been taken. And in the quiet moments before night fell, both realized that the journey ahead would test them in ways neither could yet imagine. The future of Vera and the bond between a human and a princess had begun, filled with challenges, lessons, and the slow unfolding of respect and trust. The morning on Vera began with a strange stillness. The twin suns rose slowly, casting soft light over the violet deserts and crystalline rivers. Princess Nira walked through the palace halls, her mind heavy with thoughts of Kale. The human had proven clever, patient, and capable, yet she still hesitated to trust him fully. The events of the labyrinth and the minor security breach had shown skill and courage, but ruling a planet required more than that. Suddenly, the calm was shattered. The palace alarm sounded, a deep, resonant hum that echoed through the halls and gardens. Guards rushed past Nira, moving with practiced speed, their glowing armor reflecting the sunlight. Nira's heart pounded. Something serious was happening, and she needed to understand immediately. Kale appeared at her side, moving swiftly and calmly. "Princess, what is the situation?" he asked, his voice steady despite the alarm. Nira shook her head. "I do not know yet. Scouts are reporting from the outer borders. Follow me. We must assess the threat." They hurried to the observation deck, a high platform overlooking the city and the surrounding deserts. From there, the full view of the approaching danger was visible. A fleet of alien ships, dark and menacing, appeared on the horizon. Their design was strange, sharp edges and jagged surfaces, unlike any Veyron or human craft. They moved with precision, closing in on the planet's capital. King Alrun appeared behind them, his face tense. "Nira, this is worse than I feared," he said. "The neighboring system has launched an attack. Their forces are strong, and their intent is unknown. We must protect the city at all costs." Nira's mind raced. Her people's safety was at stake, and she knew that action needed to be immediate. She looked at Kale, who was already analyzing the enemy formations on a holographic display. His hands moved swiftly, calculating positions, potential trajectories, and weaknesses. "Your Majesty," Kale said, bowing slightly, "I have studied enemy tactics in other systems. I believe I can suggest a plan to defend the capital and minimize casualties." The king's eyes narrowed. "A human offering strategy in our time of crisis? Explain quickly." Kale spoke clearly and decisively, outlining a strategy that involved a combination of Veyron defense units and Earth technology. "If we position the Veyron shield generators along these coordinates and coordinate with your air and ground forces, we can funnel the attackers into a controlled path. Our forces will be protected, and we can respond efficiently to any unexpected maneuvers." Nero listened closely, her admiration growing despite her caution. The plan was intelligent and precise, showing not only understanding of tactics but also respect for Veyron's strengths. Still, she could not allow her feelings to cloud her judgment. She needed to test him further. "Kale, your plan is detailed," she said. "But can you lead others effectively in the chaos of battle? Strategy alone does not ensure success." Kale nodded. "I will lead by example. I will remain with the front-line pilots and coordinate with your forces. Together, we can adapt to any change in the enemy's approach." King Alrun studied Kale closely. The human's confidence was steady, not arrogant, and his knowledge of strategy was impressive. Yet the king could not ignore his daughter's feelings. He turned to Nira. "This is your decision as well, Princess. Observe him in action. His skill may influence your understanding of this alliance." Nira's eyes softened slightly. She did not like that her choices were influenced by necessity, but she understood the wisdom in testing Kale. "Very well," she said. "Prepare the forces. We will act soon." The city of Veyro moved quickly. Citizens retreated to safe areas, guided by guards and automated systems. Energy shields shimmered into place, and defensive units took their positions. Nira stood at the observation deck, watching the preparations, her heart tight with worry. The twin suns reflected off Kale's armor, and she noted his calm composure. He did not seem afraid, only focused. The alien fleet reached the outer defenses of the city, and the first clash began. Energy beams cut through the sky, colliding with Veyron shields. Explosions shook the ground, and alarms blared across the palace. Nira's pulse quickened, but she did not move from her position. She needed to observe, to understand, and to judge Kale's ability to protect her people. Kale coordinated the defense with precision. He directed Veyron pilots to exploit openings in the enemy formation and used Earth technology to strengthen the shields at critical points. His decisions were quick but calculated, minimizing risk while maximizing effectiveness. Nira watched him, her earlier doubts slowly giving way to respect. "Princess," Levin said quietly, "look at how he adapts. He is not just following a plan. He is leading, protecting, and thinking ahead." Nira nodded, her eyes fixed on Kale. The human moved among the chaos with purpose, his presence a stabilizing force in the midst of fear and confusion. The citizens of Vera, watching from secure locations, felt a spark of hope. Kale's actions had turned panic into strategy, fear into courage. Hours passed as the battle continued. The alien fleet was strong, but Vera's defenses, guided by Kale, held firm. The palace shone like a beacon, a symbol of resilience and intelligence. Nira's heart, still cautious, began to feel a shift. Perhaps Kale was not the ruthless outsider she had feared. Perhaps he could understand courage, responsibility, and the importance of protecting life. Finally, the enemy retreated, their ships disappearing into the horizon. The citizens of Vera cheered, their voices echoing across the city. Kale lowered his head slightly, acknowledging the success without pride. Nira approached him, her eyes meeting his. "You were right," she said softly. "Your plan worked, and your leadership helped protect my people. I did not expect you to handle this so well." Kale inclined his head respectfully. "Thank you, Princess. I did what I could to assist. The courage and skill of your people also made this possible. Together, we achieved this outcome." Nira's heart felt lighter, though her mind remained cautious. She realized that trust was not something given freely, but it could grow through actions, decisions, and shared challenges. Kale had earned a measure of respect today, not through words, but through courage, intelligence, and dedication to life. King Alran approached, his expression a mixture of relief and approval. "Kale, your actions today have shown wisdom and bravery. You have proven yourself capable of assisting Vera in ways I could not have imagined." Kale bowed. "Your Majesty, I only sought to protect your people. Vera is a remarkable world, and its citizens deserve safety and peace." Nero looked at both men, her mind filled with new understanding. The human was no longer just a stranger sent for a political alliance. He had shown courage, intelligence, and respect for life. Yet, she reminded herself, this was only one day. The path ahead would still test both their abilities and their willingness to trust one another. As the twin suns set once more, casting shades of gold and violet over the city, Nira realized that the future of Vera had changed. The human Kale had proven himself a capable ally, and perhaps, over time, he could become something more: a partner, a friend, and a symbol of the strength that comes from understanding and cooperation between worlds. For now, the battle was over, but the lessons of courage, trust, and responsibility had only just begun. Princess Nira watched Kale from a distance, her heart cautious but curious, knowing that their story was far from complete. The morning air on Vera was tense. The city had survived the first attack, but Princess Nira knew that this was only the beginning. Reports indicated that the enemy fleet was regrouping, planning a larger assault. Nira walked through the palace corridors, her heart steady but alert. Kale moved beside her, analyzing new scans from the city's sensors. The human had proven himself capable, but this next challenge would test not only his skill but also his ability to work alongside her. King Alran convened an emergency council in the Royal Strategy Hall. Holographic displays of the alien fleet floated in the center of the room. Advisors murmured, but all eyes were on the princess and the human commander. "This is not a simple attack," King Alran said, his voice firm. "The enemy fleet is stronger than before. Vera's defenses alone may not be sufficient. Kale, you will coordinate with our forces to ensure our city's survival." Kale nodded, his calm demeanor steadying the room. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will work closely with Princess Nira and the Veran forces to develop a coordinated defense. Together, we can maximize our strengths. Nira studied Kale carefully. She had already seen his courage and intelligence, but now they would face a real test. We will need precise timing, she said. Every unit, every shield generator, every pilot must move with purpose. Any mistake could be catastrophic. Kale's eyes met hers. I am ready. I will follow your guidance and offer my strategies where they can strengthen our efforts. We must act as one. The princess nodded. She could sense his sincerity. Perhaps together, they could achieve what no single leader could accomplish alone. The Veyran forces were mobilized. Ships of various sizes hovered in the sky, their energy shields glowing brightly. Ground units took positions around the city, prepared to intercept any landing attempts. Nira and Kale moved through the command center, issuing orders and adjusting positions based on Kale's calculations and Nira's intimate knowledge of her planet. Hours passed as the alien fleet approached, larger and more organized than before. The first wave struck, energy beams cutting across the sky. Kale directed Veyran pilots to create defensive formations, using both the planet's natural terrain and the city's shields to their advantage. Nira observed, her heart pounding, but she maintained focus. She had learned from Kale's calm example, and together they became a team of strategy and action. One squad of enemy ships attempted to bypass the defenses and target the palace directly. Kale acted quickly. Princess, I suggest using the eastern shield grid to funnel them into a trap. Ground units can disable their engines if they get too close. Nira nodded. Do it. Her orders were precise, and Kale coordinated the pilots flawlessly. Energy fields shifted, creating a narrow corridor for the enemy ships. The trap worked perfectly. The enemy fleet was slowed, and their advance was disrupted. Nira watched with admiration as Kale's plan unfolded without hesitation. Despite the success, the battle was far from over. Another wave approached from the north, faster and more aggressive. Nira turned to Kale. We need a new strategy. We cannot rely solely on shields. We must take the fight to them. Kale studied the projections carefully. I agree. If we deploy the Veyran air squads in a flanking maneuver while Earth drones provide support from above, we can divide their forces and reduce pressure on the city. Nira nodded, impressed by the combination of human technology and Veyran skill. Prepare the units. I will lead the aerial squad. You coordinate from the command center. Kale hesitated. Princess, I would rather be with you, but the strategy requires central control. Trust me to guide the units. I will adjust based on your movements. Nira studied him, weighing his words. She realized that trust was necessary for their success. Nodding, she took to the skies in her personal craft, joining the aerial squad. Kale remained in the command center, issuing instructions and monitoring the battlefield. The battle raged across the skies. Nira maneuvered with precision, leading her squad through enemy formations. Kale's guidance reached her through the comm system, his voice calm and instructive. Left flank, now. Use the energy currents to your advantage. The enemy is vulnerable on that side. Nira followed his instructions, her craft weaving through the alien ships. She could feel the weight of responsibility, but she also felt a strange sense of confidence. Kale's presence, even through the calm, gave her strength. Together, they were not just defending the city, they were coordinating an intricate dance of strategy and skill. Hours passed, and slowly the tide of battle turned. The enemy fleet was pushed back, their ships retreating from Veyran's defenses. The citizens cheered from safe locations, their hope renewed. Nero landed her craft near the palace, her heart still racing from the intensity of the fight. Kale was already there, awaiting her. He did not boast or claim victory. Instead, he bowed slightly. "Princess, the city is safe. The fleet has retreated for now." Nira approached him, her expression softening. "You were right. Your strategy, combined with the courage of our people, has saved the city. I did not expect such coordination between a human and a Veyron." Kale smiled faintly. "It is not about human or Veyron, princess. It is about working together, understanding each other's strengths, and protecting life. That is the true measure of leadership." Nero felt a quiet admiration for him growing within her. His words were simple, but they carried truth. The human had not only proven skill in battle, but also respect for her and her people. For the first time, she wondered if her initial fear and resistance had been misplaced. King Alran approached, his face a mixture of relief and pride. "Kale, you have done more than I expected. Princess Nira, your leadership in the air squad has shown courage and skill. Together, you have proven that trust and cooperation can overcome even the greatest threat." Nira nodded, feeling the weight of her father's words. She looked at Kale, realizing that their alliance was no longer just political. It had become a partnership based on respect, understanding, and shared responsibility. As the twin suns set, casting violet and gold across the city, Nira and Kale stood together, observing the aftermath of the battle. The city was intact, its people safe, and the enemy had retreated. They had faced a great challenge and had succeeded through teamwork and courage. Nira turned to Kale, her eyes reflecting both relief and newfound respect. "We have much to learn from each other," she said softly. Kale inclined his head. "And we will, princess. Together, we can protect Vera and build a stronger future for both our worlds." For the first time, Nero felt a sense of hope. The human had proven himself worthy, not through words or promises, but through action, courage, and wisdom. The bond between them was still new, but it was growing stronger with every challenge they faced. The battle had ended, but the lessons of trust, cooperation, and understanding would guide them in the days to come. Princess Nira realized that true strength was not in ruling alone, but in knowing when to trust, when to learn, and when to act together. The future of Vero was bright, not because of power alone, but because of courage, intelligence, and the alliance that had begun to form between a princess and a human commander. The aftermath of the battle left the city of Vera calm but vigilant. Citizens moved carefully through the streets, repairing minor damages and helping one another. Princess Nero walked through the palace gardens, her thoughts heavy with recent events. The human Kale had proven himself in battle, his strategy and courage saving countless lives. Yet, Nira's heart remained cautious. She admired him, but admiration did not yet equal trust. She needed to understand the man behind the uniform before she could accept him as more than a temporary ally. Kale approached the garden, his expression calm yet earnest. He carried no weapon, no device for calculation, only himself. "Princess," he said softly, "may I speak with you privately?" Nira nodded and led him to a quiet courtyard, surrounded by alien flora that glowed faintly under the twin suns. The hum of the palace faded in this secluded space, leaving only the gentle sound of flowing water from a nearby crystal stream. Nira stopped and looked at Kale, her eyes searching for truth. "I wanted to speak to you away from the chaos," Kale began. "There is something I must tell you, something important about why I am here and what I hope to achieve." Nira crossed her arms, wary but attentive. "Speak, Kale. I will listen. Kale took a deep breath. I have been trained as both a commander and a diplomat. My mission is not just to protect Vera in battle, but to build a lasting alliance based on trust, not just politics. I was chosen for my ability to work with others and for my respect for life, not for personal gain or ambition. Nira studied him carefully. His words were measured, honest, and lacking any hint of pride. Many humans she had read about in historical records acted out of ambition or desire for power. But Kale's words suggested something different: purpose and integrity. Why reveal this to me now? She asked. You have already shown skill in battle. Why not remain silent and let your actions speak for you? Kale looked down, then met her eyes. Because actions alone are not enough, princess. You have the right to know who I am and why I serve. You have the right to judge me for your people, not just for my performance in battle. I want you to see me as a person, not just a soldier. Nira's heart softened slightly. No human had ever spoken to her like this. Most had expected obedience, flattery, or fear. Kale offered honesty, and in doing so, he gave her a choice. She could continue to see him as an outsider, or she could begin to understand him. Your words are unusual for a human, she said quietly. Most humans I have read about would not speak this way. They act first, explain later, if at all. Kale nodded. I cannot speak for all humans, princess. But I can speak for myself. I have learned that respect and understanding are more powerful than fear or authority. I wish to prove this, not only through words but through every action I take. Nira's eyes softened. And what do you hope to gain from this alliance? Kale looked at the distant horizon, where the violet deserts met the sky. I hope for peace between our worlds. I hope to learn from you and your people. I hope to show that humans can work with others, not just for power, but for understanding and protection. That is my purpose, princess. Nira felt a quiet admiration growing within her. For the first time, she considered the possibility that Kale was more than her father's choice for political gain. He had shown courage in battle, intelligence in strategy, and now honesty in words. Yet, she reminded herself, trust was not given freely. It must be earned and tested. Very well, she said finally. Your honesty is noted, Kale. But words alone cannot prove your intentions. You must continue to act with integrity, even when no one is watching. Kale inclined his head. I understand, princess. I will continue to act with the same purpose I have shown. Your trust is not required, only earned. Nero looked at him for a long moment. There was a calm strength in him, a dedication that was rare even among the leaders of Vera. She realized that her perception of humans had been incomplete. Kale was not like the others she had read about, he was different. He understood responsibility, courage, and respect in a way that could match Veran ideals. Suddenly, a soft vibration ran through the courtyard. Nira's instincts sharpened immediately. Kale, she said, her voice alert, prepare yourself. I feel another disturbance. Kale's expression did not change, though his eyes scanned the horizon carefully. Where? He asked. The northern perimeter, Nira replied. Scouts reported movement among the mountains. It could be another attack or scouts from the previous fleet. Without hesitation, Kale activated a small device on his wrist, projecting tactical scans of the surrounding area. We should investigate immediately. I suggest a joint reconnaissance. We will need both strategy and knowledge of the terrain to understand the threat. Nira agreed, and together they moved quickly toward the northern mountains. The sun was higher now, casting long shadows across the violet sands. The landscape was beautiful yet dangerous, full of hidden crevices and sudden cliffs. Nero led Kale carefully, explaining the terrain, its hazards, and secret paths used by Veyron scouts. As they moved, Kale asked questions, not out of doubt, but out of genuine curiosity. "Princess, what are these formations? How do your people navigate them so easily?" Nira explained the ancient paths, the hidden markers, and the survival skills passed down through generations. Kale listened carefully, absorbing every detail. He did not act impatient or superior, he learned. Nira noticed this, and she felt a small spark of respect deepen into understanding. He was not just a soldier or diplomat, he was willing to understand her world on its own terms. They reached a high vantage point overlooking the northern plains. From there, they saw the movement of enemy scouts' small ships moving cautiously through the terrain. Kale studied them carefully, his mind calculating positions and potential strategies. "These scouts are testing our defenses," he said. "They will report back, and a larger force may follow. We need to anticipate their moves and prepare accordingly." Nira nodded. "Agreed. But we must also protect our people. Our priority is not to defeat them in battle, but to ensure safety and survival." Kale smiled faintly. "Then we are aligned, Princess. Our goal is the same. Protection, not conquest." For the first time, Nero felt that perhaps a human could understand the responsibilities of a Veyron leader. She looked at Kale, realizing that the hidden truth he had revealed, the honesty about his mission, his respect for life, and his desire to build understanding was not just words. It was reflected in his actions, in his calmness under pressure, and in his willingness to learn from her. The wind whispered across the plains, carrying the faint scent of alien flora. Nero felt a quiet hope. Perhaps Kale was not only an ally in battle, but a partner in the journey of leadership, courage, and understanding. And perhaps, in time, trust could grow into something stronger, something that could shape the future of Vera in ways she had not yet imagined. The mountains stretched before them, full of challenges and dangers. But Princess Nira, standing beside Kale, felt that together they could face whatever lay ahead. The hidden truth had been revealed, and with it came the possibility of cooperation, respect, and a bond that might endure far beyond a single battle. As the twin suns began their descent, casting violet and gold across the desert, Nira turned to Kale. "We have much to prepare, and the days ahead will test us. But I believe, that together, we may succeed where others would fail." Kale nodded, his eyes steady and calm. "Princess, I will not let you or your people down. Together, we will face the challenges and protect Vera, no matter what comes." For the first time, Nero felt a spark of trust. The human was no longer just a stranger chosen by her father. He had revealed his true self, and in doing so, he had begun to earn her respect and confidence. The journey was far from over, but the bond between them had taken its first, solid step. The palace of Vero was quiet in the early morning light. Twin suns painted the violet deserts and crystalline rivers with gold and soft purple, casting long shadows across the gardens. Princess Nira stood at the edge of the terrace, her eyes scanning the horizon. The previous battles had tested her people, her leadership, and the human Kale. Yet, today, she faced a different challenge, one of choice, responsibility, and trust. Kale approached silently, his presence calm and steady. He did not speak immediately, allowing the princess to gather her thoughts. The past days had been filled with tension, strategy, and survival, yet in all of it, Kale had proven himself. Not only had he saved countless lives, but he had also shown honesty, courage, and a willingness to learn about her world. "Princess," Kale said softly, "you seem deep in thought. I will not disturb you, but I am ready to follow your guidance." Nira turned to him, her green eyes reflecting a mixture of resolve and contemplation. "Kale, you have proven yourself in ways I did not expect. Your skill in battle, your understanding of strategy, and your respect for my people have all been remarkable. Yet, there is one choice I must make that will affect both our worlds." Kale listened intently. He understood the weight of her words. "I am ready, Princess. Whatever your decision, I will support it with honesty and respect." Nira took a deep breath. She thought of her father's expectations, the traditions of her people, and the lessons she had learned in the labyrinth, the battles, and the quiet conversations. She thought of Kale, not as a human chosen for politics, but as a person who had shown courage, wisdom, and integrity. "The alliance between our worlds is important," she said. "It is not merely a matter of diplomacy or obligation. It is about trust, understanding, and cooperation. Kale, you have proven that you are more than my father's choice. You have earned respect, not by command, but through action and honesty." Kale inclined his head respectfully. "Your words honor me, Princess. I do not seek praise, only the opportunity to protect your people and build understanding between our worlds." Nira stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. "Then I make this choice not for duty alone, but because I believe in the path we can walk together. You will remain here as my ally, as a partner in the defense and guidance of Vera. I will trust you to act with wisdom, courage, and respect, as you have done." Kale's eyes softened, and a quiet smile appeared. "Princess, I accept. I will serve not just out of duty, but with the commitment to protect and honor your people. Together, we will face every challenge that comes." King Alran approached, his face reflecting pride and relief. "Nira, your decision is wise. You have chosen not out of fear or obedience, but with understanding and discernment. Kale, you have proven that humans can act with honor and respect. Together, you will ensure the future of Vera and strengthen the bond between our worlds." Nira turned to her father. "Father, I will continue to uphold the values of Vera. But I will also learn from Kale and the humans, understanding that strength comes not only from tradition, but from courage, intelligence, and cooperation." Kale extended a hand, not as a commander or outsider, but as a partner. "Princess, we will face every trial side by side. I will learn from your people, and together we will ensure that Vera thrives." Nira took his hand, a simple gesture that held profound meaning. She felt a sense of calm, a quiet assurance that the path ahead, though uncertain, could be navigated together. The human who had arrived as a stranger had become an ally, a partner, and a symbol of unity between worlds. The city of Vera began to stir with life. Citizens emerged from safe areas, observing the palace and the sky with cautious hope. Word spread quickly of the battles, the bravery of their leaders, and the new alliance. The people felt inspired, seeing that courage and trust could bridge even the greatest differences between worlds. Kale and Nira walked through the gardens, discussing plans for the future. Defense strategies, education, and mutual understanding became topics of their conversation. Nira was impressed by Kale's insight, not only into tactics but also into human and Veran behavior. He asked questions, listened carefully, and offered suggestions that respected her world while introducing new ideas. "You understand more than I expected," Nira said. "Your perspective is valuable, and your respect for life is evident in every action. It is rare to find someone who balances strategy and compassion so well." Kale smiled faintly. "I have learned from observing your people, Princess. Leadership is not merely about command, but about understanding and protecting those you serve. You have taught me as much as I hope to teach you." The twin suns rose higher, casting a warm glow over the city. Nero felt a sense of hope and determination. The challenges of the past days had been great, but they had also revealed the power of trust, courage, and cooperation. The human by her side was no longer an outsider, he was a partner who shared her vision for a stronger, safer Vera. King Alran joined them again, his eyes filled with pride. "Nira, Kale, the future of Vera is bright because of your choices. You have proven that understanding and cooperation can overcome fear, doubt, and even powerful enemies. Together, you represent a new era for our people." Nira nodded, her eyes meeting Kale's. "We will continue to learn, grow, and protect this world. And we will do so together, with courage and respect guiding every decision." Kale's voice was steady, filled with conviction. "Princess, I will not fail you or your people. Every challenge, every battle, every decision will be approached with honor and dedication. Vera's future will be safeguarded by our combined strength and wisdom." The city seemed to breathe with renewed energy. Citizens watched as the princess and the human commander walked together, discussing plans, strategies, and visions for the future. The bond between them was no longer tentative or uncertain. It had been tested in battle, proven in courage, and strengthened by honesty and understanding. As the sun set over the violet deserts, casting long golden reflections across the crystalline rivers, Nira realized that her choice had not only secured the safety of her people but had also opened a path for unity, respect, and shared growth between two worlds. The human who had arrived as a stranger had become a symbol of hope, trust, and partnership. "Kale," Nira said softly, "the path ahead will be difficult. But I feel confident knowing that we will face it together. Not because we must, but because we choose to." Kale's eyes reflected quiet determination. "And I am honored by that choice, Princess. Together, we will protect Vera, strengthen our alliance, and prove that courage and understanding can overcome even the greatest challenges." For the first time in days, Nero felt a sense of peace. The battles had tested them, the dangers had threatened them, but the bond they had formed was stronger than any fear. The future of Vera was no longer uncertain. It was bright, filled with hope, and guided by the strength of a princess and a human who had chosen to stand together. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting shades of violet and gold across the palace and gardens. Princess Nira and Kale stood side by side, looking toward the future, knowing that together, they could face anything. Their alliance was more than strategy or duty, it was a bond of respect, trust, and courage that would shape the destiny of Vera and beyond. And so, the story of the alien princess and the human commander reached a new beginning, one where understanding, cooperation, and shared courage would lead their people into a stronger, safer, and brighter future.